So how's it going, guys? I'm back with another Walking Dead review. This is season 8, episode 2, and another great episode. So I've been talking to a lot of people, and they don't seem like they really enjoyed last week's episode. I'm not really too sure why this is. I'm very perplexed with a lot of Walking Dead fans. There's been a lot of uneventful episodes in the series, and I've pulled no punches in these reviews. I say a lot of times they waste a lot of time in a lot of episodes. There's noticeable filler. They've been getting better with that, as the seasons progress. Like I said, I truly believe that this is a show that has gotten better over time. Um, and that has a lot to do with the development of the characters. I think it has a lot to do with the maturing of the step. Now, I got to admit, I hate using that term, maturing. I always feel like that's a term that shows, them kind of just falling in line, really, just kind of doing as expected. So I'm never a big fan of using that term. So, but anyway, this episode, a lot of action in this one. Um, they were attacking the saviors in this the hilltop, Alexandra getting together. You didn't see Negan. You didn't see the follow up with Negan and Gabriel. It was, I kind of expected that. They've done that a lot of times where they'll just completely flip, to a different set of characters and they'll leave you in suspense. And I kind of like that in a way. It's a little bit frustrating because you kind of want to see what happens, but that does build suspense. And we might see what happens next week with Negan and Gabriel, but maybe they might even wait another week. We've seen them wait several weeks. Remember the cliffhanger with Glenn that they did? Um, that was like a real killer. Remember that back in season 6 where they made you wonder what was, if Glenn was alive or dead. So they've kept us in the dark a lot of the time about things like that. So but that's kind of what keeps you coming back for more and more. Like I said, we might complain about these things, but in retrospect, this is why Walking Dead maintains its ratings. It's because they keep you coming back for more and more. But one of the more interesting elements in this episode, you noticed that there was tension between Tara and Jesus, and it was more that Jesus is now showing a more sympathetic side to, this raid on the saviors, and they come upon a worker, and Jesus doesn't want to kill this guy because he has his hands up. But Tara insists and says they should follow what Rick said and kill everybody, wipe them all out. But Jesus feels uneasy about a guy. He showed that he pissed himself. He has his hands up. He says that he's a worker. He had put himself in a closet. And then, as they're debating whether to kill this guy or not, or he grabs Jesus and he puts a gun to his head. And it shows that there's no way that they could have sympathy for these people, but still Jesus still won't kill the guy. He just, cold cocks him with the gun and just knocks him out, ties him up. And you kind of see that this is a bad idea. And from watching this, I was like, they should kill this guy. Without a doubt, I was like, this is not a good idea, and it's going to come back to bite them in the ass. And then you have, you notice that Tara said to Jesus, she says, it doesn't matter. We'll do it your way now because when we tell Rick, he's going to do it. He's going to agree with me anyway. So you see that kind of tension. Things are getting a bit petty. They're having a disagreement on, how to handle this raid. Should they use lethal force on everybody, or should they make exceptions for certain people, if they're more innocent than others? And they said, Jesus says, we're not here to kill the workers. We're not here to do it that way. Um, then we see that Morgan also wants to kill somebody, but Jesus stops him as well. So, it was an interesting element that we thought like, oh man, they're doing a good job. They're getting onto the compound. They're killing a lot of the saviors. They're and it's going to be pretty cut and dry. But then we remember there's several episodes more. So what I think is going to happen, I think that the tide is going to shift. And now I think that Team Rick is not going to be doing as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is because they showed a lot of restraint in this episode and they kept a certain amount of them alive. I think that's going to end up being a problem for them in the future episodes, in the next couple of episodes. So, that was an interesting little element that they threw in there. And, I want to see where they build off of that. And, Tara's not one of the more interesting characters to me. I think if I were to rank, she would definitely be lower on the list. I mean, as far as personality, and, I know that she's tough and everything, but I don't really get a lot out of Tara. It's nice that they use some of these more minor characters in this way. It shows good writing. It shows that they could take less charismatic characters and still find a spot for them in the script, still find a spot for them in the show. And that's good. I mean, it makes it less predictable. It's more interesting. We feel that almost everybody has a place on this show. And how many shows can you really say that for? Where you have like a big cast. Can you really say that, they really utilize their characters all to the best of their ability? And they're doing a really good job. Like I said, this is a show that has grown. And like for example, Tara was not an interesting character at all in the beginning, and now they started to flesh her out, and she's not really quite there yet. And I guess that you could also kind of accredit that to the fact that she hasn't been there as long as a Carol or a Daryl or definitely a Rick. So that might be working against her, or it could just be just basically there's not a lot for her to do because some of the more important roles on the show that call for the more charismatic characters, they're already taken. But it's nice that they find other things for other characters to do. But anyway, so it was a good episode. Like I said, I didn't really understand the criticism for last week. Most people are like, it's not that great. It was okay. I thought that it was pretty good last week too. But anyway, we're all gonna have a difference of opinion, the style of each episode, how it's directed and produced. We're going to have disagreements on that. But anyway, I'll see you for episode 3 next week, folks.